On July 19th, one team will win the World Cup. But who? Will it be France? Or Spain? Or Brazil? Nobody knows, but what we do know for certain is it will almost definitely be a big team, because it's always a big team. But what if it's not? What about this time a small country were to win it? How would they do that? How would that happen? Well, luckily for us, Carlo Ancelotti already has the answer. He said recently, the World Cup winner is not who scores the most goals, it's who concedes fewer goals. The secret is defence. And I think the best recent example of this is Morocco from the 2022 World Cup, because they finished 4th, despite hardly having any of the ball. 38% of possession is what they had. In fact, in some of their games, like the one they won against Portugal in the quarterfinal, they only had 27% of possession. That's all you need to win games. You can see how little of the ball they have just looking at their team average positions. Very, very little against Portugal. This is them against Spain, for example. Hardly any of the ball, very separate and apart, but this is what Spain did, lots of the ball. You can see a clear contrast on what they're doing. But the key is not what they did with the ball, it's what they did without it, because they only conceded one goal before being knocked out in the semi-finals, and that was an own goal. And what they did was be very, very hard to break down, super intense, quite aggressive. So whoever they're playing against would be allowed to play it from the back. They can build with freedom. They might be push up a little bit, but they mostly meet them in the mid-block here, and then they'd be shown wide because of the block. So eventually they drop back into a deeper, compact block, making sure there's no gaps between them. If there were any gaps, you'd have Amrabat in between, making sure that there weren't any gaps. And then eventually the opposition team would get into the final third and they'd try and create. But because there's no space, they couldn't really do it. So because they're having to show wide, because they're being shown that way, Hakimi would come out and block them. Then they push a full-back up to try and deal with that. You'd have Ziyech there as well, so you're 2v2. But also they'd bring the other centre-back across, they'd all shift over, make it super hard. There's just no space whatsoever. And of course, by defending like this, what it then does is forces the other team up, which means that you create space in behind them. So the more players they push forward, the more risky it is for them in possession. And so then you can just hit the ball forward. You've got players like Hakimi, who's absolutely rapid. Ziyech, very good with little ball dribbly things, get the ball in the box. Because all you need when you're a small team is one chance and one big guy to head the ball in the box. That's all you need. Now this worked in every single game for Morocco, until it didn't, because inevitably sometimes teams will get through, but that's the problem. What they had was a very clear identity, a very clear way of playing. There were inevitable risks and rewards to all of them, but that's how they gained an advantage. They had no individual superstars, they were strong as a collective. That's their advantage defensively, that's what they did. Now, what's interesting is that what we've seen in domestic football over the last few seasons, since the last World Cup, is a lot of teams defending much higher up the pitch. If we look at teams like Bournemouth, in the Premier League, or just lots of other teams around Europe, they're all pressing much, much higher. And I think that's something we might see in the World Cup, because it's a way for small teams to gain an advantage. Like, for example, Japan. They're doing this from some of the games that I've watched of them in the build-up to the World Cup. So this is them playing against England, who I'm not sure to count as a big team or not really sure they are, but here they are. So in the past, lots of teams with this would sit back in a block, maybe a mid-block, wait for England to come to them. But now what they're doing is pressing in a bit of a hybrid zonal system, waiting for when the ball goes to trigger the press. So they're like this, they're set up nice and calm, the ball goes to the side, that's when they're going to jump, and as soon as they jump, everyone commits. Now, the risk of playing high like this and pressing like this is you leave yourself open to passes through the middle and teams can cut through you. But if you're really good and you jump on them, you can stop this from happening. This is what Japan do in this friendly. The ball goes wide, the ball goes back, the ball goes wide, the ball goes back to the goalkeeper who punts out for a throw-in. Japan have possession. So rather than allow their opponents to build against them and defend deeper and then exploit the space behind, what Japan are doing is forcing the mistakes closer to the opponent's goal. Now obviously that's riskier, like we said, but the thing in knockout football is that one mistake is enough to send you home, so why not force the mistakes? This is how you do it. If you force it next to the opposition's goal, you're closer to goal. England are playing out, same game, only a few moments later. The ball is pinged into the centre-back, he wants to play it down the lines. It's a fairly normal pattern you see from any build-up against this sort of a zonal press that jumps into man-to-man. But the pass is under hit, a mistake, Japan win it, run towards goal, get a shot on goal. These are the moments in the game where you can get the lead by taking a shot from distance, it goes in, that's you, all you've got to do now is keep them pressed against their own goal, and then drop into the block when you need to exploit the space that creates. That's how a small team can win. Now of course this is only a friendly against the mighty England, but it still counts. And therefore to win the World Cup as a small team, what you must do is have a clear identity. You must defend them one of two ways, extremely deep or extremely high. But to actually win the World Cup as a small team, you have to score at least one goal. And to score a goal, you have to have possession and then use it. This is a lot easier to do when you have a lot of good players in your team. or even if you have just one absolute superstar. Because players like Gareth Bale at Wales or Robert Lewandowski at Poland, they can elevate a small team by offering a genuine goal-scoring threat. You can pretty much get the ball to them, be solid behind them, they can ping one in from 30 yards, or just run the game like how Luka Modric does. But the problem with having possession is that you can lose it, and that's when you're very vulnerable. For example, we're back to Japan. They don't just press high, they're just really good in transition. This is what they do. You'll see this in the World Cup this summer, but this is what we've seen from the last one. Playing against Germany here, the ball is just bouncing around in the middle. Germany have pushed players forward to try and open up the pitch. That's what they're trying to do, generate chances. The ball goes back towards Gundogan in the midfield. He turns, he starts to go backwards to build again. We see this 1,000 times, you build. Japan, you can see, are back into their small compact block. That's what they're doing. Gundogan tries something in the middle of the pitch, tries to turn and deceive them. He gets caught. Now you're in even more trouble, and Japan are built around trying to stop this from happening and trying to exploit these mistakes. Suddenly, they can burst forward. This is how you do it with a small team. You sit back, you wait for your chance, then you got to take it. Be really, really strong with this. They push up, lots of runners, that's what you get. You've got a player in the middle waiting for the cross from the side. Takes a bit longer, in it comes, he finishes, that's the goal. But he's just offside. These are the small margins. If you were able to execute these moves properly, get these moves to work early, these are the things you do. So it needs a bit of luck, but this is how you generate chances to score as a small team. It's not about having the ball. Unless you have a superstar, individual who can open them up, you're probably going to be relying on these sorts of moments. Or, now we've seen it sort of half ruin the Premier League because lots of teams have realised these are overpowered. They are repeatable, you can practice them, you can generate chances over and over again from them. Because a lot of football in open play is players reacting to things in real time. They have to react the way they see things happening. But set pieces, the coach can control every single bit. You can get this to happen the way you want. It's not a secret. Now, if we look at how World Cup goals are scored, well, by gum, wouldn't you know it? In 2018, 44% of all the goals scored in the World Cup. That's nearly half, by the way. I know it's not quite, but almost half the goals were set pieces. England, 9. That's lots of them. Last World Cup, weirdly, a big drop off in them. I think it'll be almost the exact opposite this time around, as small teams benefit from being able to do these sorts of things. And what we've seen in the Premier League especially is lots of in-swinging corners. We can see that every year it's gone up. In-swingers are the real champion now. You put the ball into the box, into the centre of it, and that's how you score your goals from corners. You can generate chances on the counter-attack, get a corner, have repeatable patterns, score those goals. And the thing is, if you remember Greece in 2004, they did everything I've said. They were very good collectively, they were strong defensively. A bit like Morocco, they were able to stop people from playing against them, they were able to block them, stop it, lock it down. They pushed up now and again, but didn't keep possession for too long. They got the ball in the box for a big man, and they took advantage of set pieces. The final of Euro 2004, look at this. The ball comes in the box from a corner. The TVs were less quality back then, so forgive the image quality, but look at it. A beautiful box. The ball's in the box, the striker holds off the defender, he bounces, heads the ball in the goal. Greece win Euro 2004. Cut to the recent friendly between England and Japan. Cole Palmer prepares to take a corner. Look at the box now. There are too many people in the box. This is what we're dealing with now. In 2018, England figured out how to break the game. They just kept the ball for quite a lot of the time, didn't do much with it because possession is risky. When they got a corner or a free kick, that's how they scored their goals. It's not dissimilar, it's not saying it's the same as Arsenal in the Premier League, but they've worked it out. It's a huge, overpowered part of the game that they're spending the necessary time to take advantage of. So if you're a small team, that's probably how you're going to win the World Cup this summer. It's not great, but it still counts. And so, all the small team like Scotland have to do to win the World Cup is have an identity, a clear defensive strategy, either extremely defensive or extremely attacking. Make sure you can counter really quickly. Don't keep the ball for too long. That's bad. It's a hot potato. And then make sure you're really, really good at set pieces. That's all there is to it. Or, when you get near the goal, just hit it. This is the first goal that Morocco scored against Belgium, a tough opponent in that World Cup at the time. This player, Sabiris, takes a free kick wide, he thinks it's a cross, he deceives the goalkeeper with a really weird shot towards the front post, which goes in. Thibaut Courtois, caught by surprise. That's how you do it. Or you know what you should do as well? Hit a bicycle kick. If the ball comes in from wide, jump really high, score a bicycle kick. That's all you've got to do. Or what you can do is when the ball drops to you anywhere near the box, 30 yards, 40 yards, doesn't matter. Just ping it. That's how you score a goal. That's how you win the World Cup. Just put it in the net. All you have to do. Get forward. Corners, yes, but just hit it at the goal. And that's how Scotland will win the World Cup.